welcome everybody to the March office hours. We'll give another minute or two for anybody else that might be joining us. Give them some time to file in and get settled and get ready so they don't miss anything. And then we will kick off with things you need to know about the product and some tips and tricks. And then I have a list of things that I would love to hear from you guys on. We'll go through all that and then we'll open it up as an open forum, anything you guys want to talk about. For anybody joining us now who may be new to office hours, we try to keep as much of this as possible a totally open forum to answer any questions you guys have about anything. Answer, if you want to know a better way to do something or some tips and tricks on how to do something, or if maybe you don't understand how a feature works. You can start now or anytime through the next hour throwing all of those in the Q&A. We'll work through them. We usually do some screen shares and show you guys what we know about that kind of stuff after we finish off the need to knows in the beginning that we share. It does seem like people coming in is tapering off, and I think people are probably getting settled. So, Reggie, you want to kick off your intro?
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it. All right. Good evening, afternoon, wherever it is that you might be in the world. I'm Reggie, and I'm the product manager here at Fanbooster. I've been with coming for a while now, so I get to come in here every single month to give you guys an update around things that have been evolving. I want to say in the industry of social media management, but that's really Hannah's part. More of like an update of what's been going on in the back end, right? Things like updates that are coming in the pipeline that might affect us in regards to the actual product, functionality that are coming down the pipeline, and really get to hear some feedback from you guys on platform integration, feature requests. So we've got some awesome things that we want to share with you guys today. And yeah, Hannah, let's do your intro before we dive in.
Yeah, so I'm Anna Dievendorf. I'm the marketing manager at Fanbooster. I use the product every day as well to manage Fanbooster and TrueDeck's social media. So sometimes I like to come in here with some tips and tricks that will make things a little bit easier for you guys or help understanding how to leverage some of the features to the best of your ability. And then sometimes we talk about just some important things in social media management, some strategies that you guys can leverage in your social media plan. And like I said, just any questions about any of that stuff that you may have already come with, any questions about anything that we talk about or about using the product, go ahead and throw them in there at any point while we're talking or during the Q&A we get to after we share what we have to share with you.
All right, cool. Let me start sharing my screen here with you guys. I've got a couple of things that we wanted to go over. All right, let's see if I can get the right thing over here. All right, cool. Anna, let me know if you can see my screen. Got it. Perfect. Got the presentation up. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I'm having some trouble with my headphones the last couple of weeks. So let's kick it off. One of the important things, and you guys might remember from last month, is we've been talking a little bit about how Instagram, business profiles, that entire landscape, how it's changed as far as converting an Instagram personal profile to business, why you want to do that, and how that allows you to play with social media management platforms like our own. So what I want to go through with you guys today is how the process of actually converting has changed over the years. If you've been around for a while, the best kind of recommendation had been go through your phone because the Facebook page settings doesn't work really well. You can't do certain things there. The things have definitely changed. There's a lot more questions, a lot more screens involved now. And then we want to jump into talk a little bit more about what we started to tease last time, which was the Facebook Business Manager and how you can delegate access to the different pages and business profiles, as well as how you can gain access to either your client or company pages and Instagram business profiles. So this screen may be familiar with you guys, and as I said, if you have any questions, type them into the Q&A there. We'll get to those as soon as we can. You might be familiar with this page. This is your page settings for your Facebook page. Now we're going to go here to convert your Instagram business profile. Definitely be done through your phone, but if you do it through your phone, there's an opportunity for an accident there where Instagram converts it without you selecting a Facebook page, and that'll cause all sorts of issues. So for now, I'm going to go through the steps on the Facebook page level instead. So I've got my Daily Planet page here. I'm in settings, navigated over to the Instagram tab for that. And we end up on this screen that asks me to connect my Facebook page to an Instagram account. Up until this point, my Daily Planet Instagram is a personal profile. And so I would go ahead and click on that Connect Account button, and it will ask me a specific question, which is pretty important here. Do you want this connection, this integration between Facebook and Instagram to grant access to the inbox? So people who add as an admin of this page will be able to access comments and direct messages from that Instagram profile. Most of the time, if you're managing on behalf of customers, of brands and such, you probably want to go ahead and go through with this, or even if you're doing it for yourself, for your own brand, it'll be important for you to be able to get this access so that you can connect to inbox management tools like our own. Once you do that, it'll ask you to log in and authenticate with your Instagram credentials. And you're going to get very familiar with this screen. It's going to ask you to authenticate a couple of times every now and then. And it's going to give you some fun screens there that kind of just talk about the benefits of the business profile. You get access to insights. You can add email and phone numbers so customers can reach you. You're just going to click continue until you're on that last page. And when you do, again, we're going to go ahead and authenticate with your Instagram credentials. And you're almost done, right? You've switched that account to a business account on Instagram. And once you hit continue, it'll ask you just to add some business details there, phone number, address, email, that sort, right? So when you're done with that, you end up with this nice page now on your Facebook, on the Facebook page settings under Instagram, that now shows that your Daily Planet Facebook page, my case, also has access to managing the Jimmy Olsen Instagram account. So these are the same brand, one on Instagram, one on Facebook. They are now connected, and this is a Instagram business profile. So the benefit with that is that I now get to connect this business profile to Fanbooster in order to take advantage of scheduling, analytics, social inbox, all of that functionality. So this is a great way to do it if, number one, you're going to be the one responsible for converting it to a business profile, and you have access to the page in itself, as well as the credentials to Instagram. Now we're going to talk a little bit, and again, add questions if you have them now. I know I'm going maybe a little fast here. I want to go through delegating the access now, right? You've got access to the Facebook page now, and you've also got access to the Instagram business profile. Our number one recommendation, and this is something that we've seen increase over the years, is that please do not share your Facebook credentials and your Instagram credentials with coworkers, with anybody, freelancers, anyone on your team who's going to be helping you manage this brand. It is not recommended to be sharing Facebook personal profile credentials. So the Facebook personal profile you use to post things about your family, your trips, which is the one you use to manage these pages, should be your own. You should be the only one accessing that with that login credentials. Facebook provides a business manager specifically for the ability to start giving out access, delegating access to Facebook and Instagram, and this is a recommended way. Or else you'll end up with your pages getting disconnected on a daily basis. It'll start triggering security issues on the Facebook side, and your token will keep getting, it's a whole mess. Take our word for it, you don't want to do that. So we're going to head over to the business settings here on Facebook. When you click on that settings area, there's a huge sidebar there with a ton of different things. You're going to want to go to the pages section, and then you're going to click on add a page. Now this is specifically if you already are an admin to the page. So either you own it or you already manage it. Now if you're trying to request access, right, your client or someone from the brand is the person who is the admin instead, you're going to want to select the second option instead, request access to a page, it'll send them an email and notification. Once they approve it, you can move on to the next step here. So I'm adding a page. I've typed in the name of it here. I'm going to click on the Add Page button, and it's going to already tell me, hey, this Facebook page already has an Instagram business profile associated with it. You want to add both, and then I'll go ahead and just click on Add All. And again, you know, like I said, become familiar with this. You're going to authenticate. I think this might be the last time you do it during this process. Authenticate with your Instagram credentials, and that's it, right? That Facebook page now resides within the business profile, or rather the business manager for Facebook here. Now, what you're going to want to do after that is you're going to want to click on Add People, right? And when you do that, you can select the person, whether it's a team member of yours, an intern, a freelancer, whoever it is that you've added as a person in your business manager. You're now going to be able to select them from this side here. And the two very important things that you need to do once you select them is to check off Manage Page and View Earnings Insights, right? This one is really the crucial one. Without this bottom one, you're not going to be able to allow them access to publishing, to the inbox, to engagement, comments, all that sort. This top one, very crucial if you're going to be taking advantage of our analytics for ads, right? If you want these users that you're delegating access to be able to understand, review your ad spend, the metrics themselves, to be able to generate reports from those, you're going to want to make sure that they have access to that. Now you go ahead and just click on Assign, and once you do, it's pretty much the end of this process. You've converted the business profile, you've added it to the business manager, and now you've granted access to that page to users of whether it's your agency or your brand, your business. You've now delegated access. And what this means is that there's no credentials to be shared at this point. Each one of these people that you can delegate access to will log in with their personal Facebook credentials, and they'll now see the page under the pages that they manage. So if they're going to be going into Fanbooster and managing the page themselves, they'll go through to connect that profile, and they will now see that Instagram business profile show up when they try to connect that profile. You won't run into any issues there. And again, the beauty of this without sharing credentials is that it'll be a very rare occurrence for you to run into problems like getting flagged by Facebook security measures. And they do that when you're traveling, you're logging into different devices that you're not accustomed to, different cities, different IP addresses. And all of this usually happens when you're sharing credentials that flag that, and you'll end up having to reconnect your page every couple of days. So really that's kind of the main things that we wanted to share with you guys on the product side here. There's been a lot of updates. If you guys haven't seen these screens in a while, you haven't converted a business profile in a while, this may look very different to you. A couple of different steps. I think doing it from the Facebook page side on the desktop gives a little bit more clarity, a little bit less room for mistakes there, whereas on the actual app on Instagram, so it's a little complex though. There's a couple of different ways that you could perhaps do it where it looks like it's been converted, and it has, but you end up not having access to the API, not having been connected to the right Facebook page. You end up down a rabbit hole that takes a long time to kind of clear up. So hopefully I was able to clarify that for you guys, and this could help anybody who is either going right now through the process of converting your Instagram profiles, or you're looking to find a better way to scale up access as you're delegating it to your team. So if you guys have any questions, like I said, we're going to jump into the Q&A in a bit today. So go ahead and ask your questions, and we'll go through that.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to quickly take over the screen. And I'm going to gloss over this super quickly because we've gone over this in the past, and it mostly just serves to double down and emphasize everything Reggie's saying about how super duper important it is to be having your Instagram profile, a business profile, and connected to your Facebook correctly. Like he said, you will not be able to access direct publishing and all of the benefits that come along with that correctly, and you'll have a lot of disconnecting issues if you do not do that. And I just want to emphasize that this is across the board with every third-party tool. This is not a Fanbooster thing, so it's a little bit of a something that you're going to need to take a few minutes to do and make sure you do correctly, but it's definitely a long-term investment. If anytime in the future of this profile you want to help manage it with a third-party tool, it has to be done with this good hygiene for anything that uses an API. Here, I've just listed some of the extra benefits that come with having a business profile anyway. The icing on the cake to kind of help grease the wheels of this. So many analogies in one sentence, but these are going to be your extra benefits. Reggie mentioned analytics. Everybody already knows that if you don't have a business profile versus a personal profile, you get 0 analytics anyway. This will make it easier to access your analytics through your third-party tool, and then just having it as a business profile will give you access to these analytics and where people are coming from, times of day you're posting, all those kind of metrics that show you where to get success. You're going to have clean, actually, actionable access to by doing it this way. One really important thing in having your Facebook correctly connected to your business Instagram is the ability to claim your location, have your location taggable. I've talked about this in the past because I'm really passionate about this for businesses that rely on Instagram really heavily for their social strategy. Having other people be able to tag their own Instagram content when they're at your business by using either the location sticker in stories or the location at the top of their posts underneath their username is so important. Because it gives you a wealth of content that you can reach out to and use and feature or post in your story with permission, of course, and just very low energy, high impact, create a user-generated content strategy in addition to your own posting strategy. Be able to tap into all those things that people are posting if they're all right there when you look up your location. And it's also kind of a new way that we're seeing people check out what the experience at your business is going to be like, in addition to reviews platforms. So this is this bullet I have here, the new Yelp. We're seeing a lot of people genuinely using it that way, where they will look up, say it's a restaurant, they'll look up the restaurant on Instagram and just scroll through all of the users that have tagged at that location and watch the story that compiles all the people that have used the story sticker with that location. So the way that this relates to connecting with Facebook is your location may already exist, it may already be selectable in Instagram. You may have done that on purpose. It may be a happy accident. Somebody created the location and it was already there and you thought that's just the way it is and you don't have to do anything, or it's not claimed. And whoever did create it, it's floating out around there on Facebook. You haven't claimed it, you're not in control of it. And you have to create that location on Facebook, not on Instagram. So if the location doesn't exist or it's floating around out there and you happen to get it and it was already there before you had control of it and someone else has control of it, having your business connected through Facebook and then being able to set the location of your Facebook business in Instagram is going to be able to either create that or give you control of it for people to tag on Instagram. So there's a great piece of content. I've linked it here, but I'm going to copy this and I'm going to throw it in the chat that explains the importance of tagging location and how to do it. It's really simple, it's just a few steps. I just threw that link in the chat there, and then you can kind of have your own very visual, fun version of Yelp in Instagram. And then the last thing I want to cover with you guys is just some things I'm really interested to hear about from all of you and kind of hear about how we can potentially be helpful to you guys and support the things you're interested in. So I would love to hear in the chat or in the questions if anyone has any strong feelings about anything on this list. So we've got Twitter chats. Is that something you're interested in participating in hosting, that can be part of your social media strategy that is supported or maybe that you want to learn about? Anything with Clubhouse, sharing your company culture on social media, if that's something that people are interested in or perhaps needing some support in. And then the last thing is a little bit more Fanbooster specific. It's just a little bit of curiosity about how if you're coming from an agency or any sort of consulting business where maybe there's a few of you, how you split up those responsibilities. Because we've run into a situation, and I can show you guys the use case that I'm talking about, how you would set that up, where people's responsibilities are split up a little bit more specifically to one very niche responsibility across all clients. So this would be something like a community manager that is only responsible for sitting there and making sure they don't miss any tweets that someone is tweeting at them, any more customer success focused messages or posts that they're being tagged in, mentions, that sort of thing, and just responding and triaging to those. I'm going to show the kind of hack, I'll call it, that we have set up for that person in Fanbooster that they are using. But I would love to hear if that's kind of a widespread thing that would help a lot of people. And it's really simple. All they did, so say I'm in the Traject one right now, and I only have Traject profiles. But what they would do is create an entirely new project and say, like, I would rename this just for inbox, whatever, and connect absolutely every client, every Facebook that I have, and see, like literally do, some of these are just junk from decades ago, but like do every single one, and then only use this project to go in the inbox and have every single possible one mentioned for the community manager to just go through and see everyone that is talking with them. You guys can let me know if you want me to dive into this a little bit more and actually connect the profiles and show you a little bit more than this blank page, and what I just kind of hypothetically illustrated a little bit there. Or if you guys think that makes sense for a little bit of a different way for you to set up Fanbooster. So those are things that I would love to hear about that would really help me, creating content, webinars, creating educational things about maybe a little bit out of the box ways that people can use different features of the tool. You guys can ask any questions about anything Reggie covered as well, or just anything that you already had in your brain that you were hoping we could walk through about Fanbooster.
Got some questions here around Facebook ads, Facebook ad account. Let me see if I can answer that question for you guys. So here, actually, let me jump in and share my screen. I think that might be more helpful. There. Good, cool. So where we're gonna start things off with is if you're looking to boost posts, right? You have an ad spend that you're going to attach to a specific post, an organic post that you're publishing on Facebook. You want to boost that for a specific dollar amount, specific amount of time. Go ahead and go to the reports area, right? You're going to go over to channels, and then you're going to click on Facebook. That's where you're going to go into the ads category of reporting. You're going to see that connect button there on the right-hand side. You're going to click on connect ad account. It'll prompt you for things like which Facebook page do you want to connect this ad account from, and then you specify the actual ad account ID itself. Once you do that, go ahead and head over to the Composer. You're going to type in the actual copy, right? Attach any media that you want to. You're creating your actual post, and then that promo button at the bottom, that's what you're going to want to click right there. we're going to click on promo, and then move over to the live view here for you guys, right? Click on promo. You're going to be able to select the ad account, or rather the Facebook page. Then you select your ad account. And then you've got objectives, right? Reach, page likes, similar to how you would do these natively on Facebook.com. Your budget, so $15 for 5 days. It'll tell you already on average how many you're going to spend per day. So this should be your total budget. And then if you've got any saved audiences, they'll show up on this list, or else you can just create your own custom audience below, right? You've got your demographic selection down here. So basically what will happen is we'll save all these settings. Once that post gets published, we'll go ahead and boost it for that dollar amount with the audience that you've selected. So hopefully that helps answer that question on Facebook ad accounts, being able to boost your posts as you're scheduling them as well. One thing I will say that's a huge benefit is to using post presets. I know that Anna's talked about post presets in the past. Let's just go ahead and open this up in another tab here for you guys. If you've got a post preset, right? A post preset is a great way for you to do a couple of different things. One is organize your content types. I'm sure Anna, you can do a way better job of explaining this than me. But it also allows you to quickly establish settings that you want to reuse over and over for different post types. And so, for example, I might have one here to the specific category. This is a post preset that I've got set up. I can actually associate a dollar amount. I can already pretty much tell Fanbooster, hey, anytime I schedule a post using this preset, go ahead and attach this custom audience to the boosted post with this dollar amount for a new campaign. And so it just allows you to quickly schedule, go through, and you're not going to have to select these settings every single time. It's even more helpful if you've got different campaigns you're going to be running, different really dollar values. Maybe your budget is $50 a day for a specific type of content, and maybe $20 a day for a different one. So it'll help you to be able to do these things a little bit more easily. Set it up once with your post preset, and it'll keep going every time you schedule with that preset. So Anna, take it away and fill in the blanks, because I know I did a terrible job of explaining that.
Well, you've just got me thinking about one really important reason to set up post presets is if you set them up really in really granular categories, like, not just a post preset for all your Facebook posts, but, maybe some different types of content within that. If you've already set that up before you start boosting and I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. And then let me switch this over to GradeS. GradeS is our review management platform, if you guys don't know. So GradeS has really granular post presets set up into all these different categories that we assign to posts. And then if you go to content performance, you can see them compared to each other. So I can say, oh wow, they really love this stuff. Maybe this is a post preset I want to assign boost settings to. Like, these are the posts I want to boost that people really like, that I have a lot of success with. So post presets will help you after you've decided to boost to apply those boost settings. But I think also if you set them up early enough, they will probably be one of the most informative ways to tell what you should boost in the first place. I always get some questions when I show this about kind of, what the thinking is or what the strategy is behind how you split these up. And the thing that I always say is that there really is no right or wrong way depending on what type of stuff you post and what your needs are. But I always encourage people to get as absolutely granular as possible, because the more specific you get, the more information you'll be able to from comparing them and getting these metrics. And it doesn't necessarily get messy, because you can attach multiple post presets to like one posting schedule. So I can take all of these ones that start with GU and I know those are like the content that Grade Us has created, and I can filter them all into just one Grade Us content posting schedule, and then they'll still, it won't get cluttered. They'll still only go out on the basis that I want of a few posts a day. But when I go to compare them, or I go to maybe only want to boost a certain small subsect of them, they're already split up into really small sections for me with this wealth of post presets.
Some awesome questions. Yeah, I mean, I love post presets. I think that's one that we could probably even just dedicate a whole month worth of session to. Super powerful. There's so many different things that you can do, both from an organization perspective, a time-saving perspective, and from analytics and reporting, like Anna was showing us. It's just being able to drill down the content types to better understand what's working, and being genuine and honest to know, hey, this isn't working. We're devoting a lot of time to this type of category, and the engagement rate is just not as great as we're seeing in another one. And either pivoting, shifting, or figuring out where to invest a little bit more of your content effort towards. So, a lot of different ways that we can take advantage of post presets and the reporting that comes with it, and time-saving features with that too.
I just dropped another link in the chat for anybody who's interested. It's a little bit of a longer video, but if you have 11-12 minutes to kick back with a snack and watch it, it could be helpful to you. It just goes through how I think about splitting up post presets, and how you can create that strategy, as well as how to actually literally create the post presets. And then it talks about what I just mentioned, connecting them to, maybe you have 20 post presets and you filter them down and connect them to 3 posting schedules. So it's about 11 minutes long. I just dropped it in the chat, and it covers that quickly if that's something that you are interested in getting set up for your profile. And then that way you have them, you have the different post categories going out at the timing that you want, and you can compare the content performance in that screen that I just showed you guys. You can figure out what people are enjoying out of your posts that you can post more of, or put some money behind. Yeah, at minimum, you guys will have 3 posting schedules, depending on what your plan is. That's the absolute minimum that everybody would have. So you could have you can have as many post presets as you want. From my perspective, it truly doesn't matter, but you could have probably 5 for each one. You have 15 post presets easily. It wouldn't even be hard to manage, and then filter them down into 3 different posting cadences. And guys, as you're pretty please, as you're putting things in the chat or in the Q&A box, even if you just want to give me a quick yay or nay, Anna, I hate that thing that you mentioned, whatever you want to say, for those things I'm wondering on Clubhouse, Twitter chats, and sharing company culture on social media, if that's something that you are into, or something that you're just like big no. Okay, this is a really, really interesting question and use case about the location tags, and if your service varies from one location to another. I think that I would love to know more about what type of business this is. If this is a place where customers actually go to and show up and have an experience, that it could be a little tough to only have one Instagram account and one Facebook account if you're trying to make that apply to what could be a wealth of different experiences. If, say, it's products and maybe people are just buying them, it's e-commerce, that sort of thing where it's the same products across all of them, people really aren't having experiences, that would make sense. You would probably, if you want user-generated content, you would probably have to pick one of them, especially if one is your flagship or things like that. And I don't, Reggie, do you know if you can add more than one address on a Facebook page? I might have to Google this.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think to your actual page's location, I believe you can have one address, but there might be an opportunity there for you to select service area. I believe that service area, that it won't allow you to do a location tag based on service area. It would be a location tag based on the actual principal address for that page.
Okay, yeah, I know, like on Google, if you have a Google My Business, that's an immediate no. So I was kind of thinking of that, like you really need to have a separate GMB for every single location. So I was kind of thinking of that, but then realizing it might not be the same on Facebook. I'm seeing in the box though, it is one location but offering services everywhere. So yeah, then if it only has that one physical location, that's where they would tag it, especially if it sounds like you have a service more of like a digital offering. So then it wouldn't really matter as much for people to know where it is, but it can still get you that extra exposure and that extra streamlined feed of content in clicking on your business from other users, not from yourself. And it wouldn't, people aren't clicking for that type of service wondering, can I walk there? So I think that would still work well to have an easy way to source all of that content from other people that are tagging you. I think this I definitely read this years ago, so nobody fault me if this statistic has changed. But I know a little bit back in the day, there was, Instagram posts were whatever percentage more likely to get likes and get engagement. And they found even if it was something stupid, like something that someone added as a joke, just using that field makes the post more interesting and more palatable in the feed. That the algorithm changes all the time, success and who's showing to change all the time, but I have to imagine there's a reason why people liked those posts better. The other part of that is that location tag beneath the username and above the post content is always visible, whereas if people tag your profile handle in the post, people have to click once, do like the hover click to make that visible. And if they choose not to do that, they're not going to see that you are tagged. So being able to be tagged in the location where it's always visible, where they don't have to do anything to see it, could be a little bit of extra way to have your name attached to the content that other people are posting.
So let us know, guys, too, as we're kind of going through these Q&As and these questions. Let us know any other topics that you guys would like us to cover in upcoming videos. And I'd love to kind of hear some feedback on where you guys kind of like us to drive the content of these webinars on a monthly basis. So I know that, for example, this time around, we really wanted to focus on the business manager, on Instagram and Facebook integration and conversion process, because there's been a lot of questions coming out of our most recent office hours, but also it's something that our customer support team has been, sending over to us as a request, right? There's questions that they've been getting asked pretty frequently, so we wanted to make sure that we can clarify and give you guys some assistance on that. We've got a couple of questions here. A few people have asked about Pinterest and what the news on Pinterest is looking like right now. Yeah, as of right now, as we mentioned before, our kind of core focus over the last couple of quarters has been, last couple of weeks has been just focusing on the platform scalability, right? I know a lot of you guys were here last month when we talked about the fact that usually around the first couple of days of the month, tons of you like to go in and kind of generate your reports for the month end, right, or even for closing out the week. So we're working to stabilize and increase and scale our infrastructure so we can support concurrent connections to generate PDF reports, to schedule posts. And we want to make sure that we're stable for you guys, that every time you guys go to click on something and do something, that we're supporting that and minimizing any sort of downtime that you guys might be experiencing. So as a result of that, right now, that Pinterest work has been something that we've postponed for a little bit, but it is something that our engineering team is actively investigating on. The great news is that we were granted access to that new Pinterest API that does give us access for publishing and some more extended access that I'm sure we'll announce as soon as we've got that Pinterest integration right back up and ready to announce that as well. But there are some slight changes, and that's why there's a little bit of an engineering lift required there for us to just go in and reintegrate our scheduling or analytics functionality with their new API. So hopefully we'll be able to get you guys some news on that fairly quickly. And yes, definitely to coincide with that, we will try to schedule some Pinterest best practices on an upcoming office hours to kind of go in with that re-release of our Pinterest integration.
I have a bunch of Pinterest strategy pieces locked and loaded from a content perspective for the blog that we're just waiting for all the pieces together, and then so we can publish that information when it will be most helpful to you guys. And then I think all of that will adapt really well to some helpful presentations. If you guys like video format more, if you like these live things more, it'll all be out there, all in sync, to get everybody's strategy bolstered at the right time. I love this positivity around Pinterest, and I can share also that the marketing partnership with Pinterest, at least in my experience so far, and in talking with some sister products in our tweet that or in our suite, not tweet, that have this partnership, that it's actually very different than having partnerships with things like Facebook, and those bigger guys. Like, it actually is very much a two-way street, where they are very helpful for educational content. Sometimes join webinars. They're very hands-on, in content and information, education, workshops, all that kind of thing. So that's something at least I'm very excited to look forward to. I think that you guys will all then benefit from as well. I guess I shouldn't speak for you, Reggie, and you're the one that talks with the Facebook people. But I felt pretty certain, in my heart of hearts, that it was not at all similar.
No, that's very correct. Yeah, Pinterest definitely has a different approach to the partnership. It'll definitely be kind of an ongoing relationship with them to make sure that both parties involved, right, ourselves and the Pinterest team, are getting benefits out of the relationship. So yeah, it's very exciting in a couple of different ways, right? And I know you've been part of some of these conversations too. For you guys on the call, Pinterest, they really kind of want it to be more of a symbiotic relationship where we're promoting things and making announcements on behalf of changes in Pinterest. So I know I can say all of that stuff for you guys with no problems there. But it'll be interesting, right? As things get released, you guys will be able to turn to us. It's kind of like those rumor folks, like, hey, there's a new thing coming out from Pinterest. It might be video. I can't tell you what it is. A little sneak peek in there. But we'll be able to get more and more of those announcements to share with you guys before kind of leading up to official releases and stuff like that. So this is kind of a peek behind the curtains, if you will.
Yeah, so there's a comment in the Q&A about Facebook that I won't read, since all of our jobs here on our side depend on them not hearing anything unfavorable about them that we put out there. But it is something, like, in terms of things like Reggie's talking about with connecting your Facebook profile in the business manager through Instagram and things like that. Facebook is a business, and if you think about things in terms of how will this be connected through Facebook, like when you're using Instagram, or how will this keep someone on Facebook or force someone who's managing the page to be on Facebook and have a Facebook profile, how will it keep them on the timeline instead of linking away to a different site? Like, if you guys, Facebook obviously has vested interests, they're a business. Thinking about things through that perspective will, I think, be a decent northern light, in remembering that you have to, there's a certain way they want you to do things, and that your life will be a little bit more difficult if you don't do things like connect your business manager to your Instagram, to give them that access and that cohesiveness between the two, with them owning Instagram. That there's benefits to you doing it the way that, if you think about what is important to their business, and your life's probably going to be more difficult, and a little bit more disjointed if you don't. So I think keeping that in the back of your mind can help you keep things clean, and moving more seamlessly and doing them the way that they want them to be done. That was a little bit negative. Sorry, guys. That was a rain cloud on this office hours, but it's true. They're business. We have to do what they want us to do in a certain way. Most people who use the profile do. So important to keep in mind. More tutorials for using LinkedIn. I love this idea. I kind of love LinkedIn, just personally, and I feel like it's a little bit of an unsung hero. And I think there's also very specific use cases that you can actually get a lot of benefit from as a business that don't exist in other profiles. Like, in my opinion, I think LinkedIn groups are potentially, besides maybe Twitter chats, but LinkedIn groups are probably the best niche communities that people actually follow and actually want to see people posting relevant content in and having discussions in. And that's something you don't necessarily get a ton of, depending on the situation, on some other profiles. I think following hashtags is also something that Instagram has kind of caught up to, but I think it was more of a thing on LinkedIn before it was on Instagram. Twitter lists are kind of a similar thing, but I think it's very common on LinkedIn to not necessarily follow a bunch of people, because it's a little bit more awkward on LinkedIn if you don't know them to be following a ton of people. But people follow hashtags, so those things surface in their feed. And that's how a lot of people see a ton of the posts and the information they get in their feed. So doing all of that sort of stuff, and then playing the game a little bit with your link being in the comments and keeping your posts text heavy, all that kind of stuff. You could have a really good experience on LinkedIn, especially if you're B2B, using that kind of stuff. So I would love to dig into that and do even a little bit more on it. That's kind of what comes to mind for me first when I think of high impact, cool LinkedIn specific things. But I love that idea of doing a total LinkedIn overhaul. This, again, disclaimer, I'm not giving anybody official advice on what to do with their money, but in certain cases, again, especially B2B, people see really high success with paid social on LinkedIn. I know Facebook is kind of the bread and butter. Obviously, everyone has Google PPC, but for B2B, where you are able to then create things like lookalike audiences and target certain job descriptions and certain size companies and that kind of thing, people have had, it's a lot lower impressions, but sometimes higher conversions. Again, disclaimer, depends on how you set up your ad account, depends on your business, the quality of your ads and that sort of thing. But I've seen that happen a lot, where people have a lot of success with paid social on LinkedIn as well. I would also, small piece of advice, if there's LinkedIn groups you want to get into and start joining the conversation that are relevant to your product or service, just go request them now, because every LinkedIn group that I've ever become a part of has taken me a really long time to get approved and added to. So by the time you're actually like, yeah, I want to do this, and I want to start putting my content in there and conversing with these groups, you'll thank your past self if you just requested them now. Of course, it depends on who the admin is. That's not, I'm not saying a objective fact. That's been my experience for every single group so far. So if you've been having similar experiences, then just do it now. You can always leave, but then by the time, if you want to get going on it and you think you'll be able to start seeing value on it, then you can just get started right away. On LinkedIn, do you feel posts should go to both personal and company pages? I think on LinkedIn, having employees be evangelists is really powerful. So if you have employees that are willing to do that, I'm a big fan of posting those and then sharing it on the company page. If anybody here uses G2 and relies heavily on G2 reviews, that's also something that we have been told a lot in the past, is that your ability to rank will sometimes depend on the amount of employees you have to your company, and they source that information through LinkedIn and through how many people on LinkedIn say that they work for your company. So getting employees on board and maybe even incentivizing it to get on board could be very beneficial in that way. I think people, everyone loves to think of themselves as a thought leader on LinkedIn. Some people actually are the real deal, but that's kind of what everyone is looking for. So I do think that there's an added trust to personal pages. I think if you're going to join a group, they absolutely want you to be, even if you're posting content that is like, hey, I see you're having this discussion. I actually, I have a blog that answers this, even if that's from your company blog, your company site. I think people get a little bit distrustful of company LinkedIns in being represented in any sort of group or anything like that. Like, they want human conversation. But again, don't rely on employees to be evangelists of your brand if they are kind of doing their own thing. I think it kind of has to be, again with this word, but is symbiotic relationship where it's kind of agreed on. You kind of get buy-in from employees to participate in this sort of thing. But that being said, I think that always adds a little bit of interest to it. But we still post consistently much more from the company page. But then just whenever possible, when employees, they have their own podcast or their own blog, share those whenever they come up, because it just adds a little flavor. It's also more noticeable when people see someone they're not used to seeing on their feed versus the same old noise. So I think it could definitely be helpful. I would say, as far as posting the same content on both, I would avoid it being similar posts. It can be the same link, but like for my LinkedIn posts that have, I did one for a webinar coming up, except it was reviews. Like, my personality is more like making jokes, especially about things like, I'm a little younger, so I called it like my crossover episode, like when Hannah Montana went to the Tipton Hotel. I don't know if anybody on this call is going to know what that means, but everyone's familiar with like a Disney or like a Nickelodeon crossover episode. Like, I wrote it like that and then shared it from the Fanbooster page. So just make the post different, and the personal ones show a little more personality. If it's going to be kind of the same nugget of a sentence introducing it, just pick one. Well, I just noticed we're at time. So as always, I'll run through where you guys can find this. It's going to be on the YouTube. If you have anybody else that needs to be registered for office hours, you can send them the same link that you are registered to for GoToWebinar, and you should be registered for all the future ones coming up on the third Tuesday of every month. But if you missed anything here, look for it on the YouTube channel. It'll be timestamped for different topics, so you can find something quickly and easily if you want to look back to it. I'll remind everyone, if you want to grab either of those links in the chat, they will be gone for a minute. So there's one on location tags, there's one on post presets. Grab those really quick before we sign off if you need them. But otherwise, keep letting us know what you want us to talk about. over the next couple of weeks, and we will hopefully see you all next month.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.